Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about,
I'm going to
entitle this A Tale in Two Videos. And the first video that I'm going to talk to you about is a video that's called The Secret.
This is an addendum
Now,
to my
this
previous
video tells us
submission
that
of
we
The
can
Secret,
do or be
versus
whatever we
positive
want.
psychology,
All we
A
need to
Tale
know
in
is the
Two
secret.
videos. So what I would like
The
to add
secret
to
is
this
all
is
that
I want
has
to talk
been,
a little bit
all
about
that
the different
is,
types
and
of
all
stress
that will
I
be.
deal with
We
personally
all
on a daily
work with
basis
one
within
infinite
my work
power.
life and my
We
home
all
life.
guide ourselves with one law.
Basically,
the
with
law of
work, I'm
attraction.
faced with multiple
The secret
deadlines,
is
and,
the law
many
of attraction.
times they are going to all
So
have the same
everything that
level
is
of
coming
severity,
into your
and it
life,
makes
you're
it very
attracting it to
difficult
you.
prioritize
Whatever
and
is
to
going on in your
evaluate,
mind, you're
which
attracting to
project I
you.
need to tackle
We need
first.
to think of ourselves
So,
as a magnet.
I'm a
You
manager for a
attract
large
what you
company,
want
and
to
I'm
attract and
responsible for
become what you want to
multi-million-dollar
become.
accounts. I
Thoughts
also have
become
43
things.
associates that report
Thoughts
to me,
have frequency,
and I'm
and if
responsible
you think
for
it
their
over and
production,
over
their
again, you send
timeliness,
these magnetic
as well as their
thoughts out.
quality.
Most
I also
people
have
don't
several
think about
platforms
what
within
they
the
don't
company that I'm
want
responsible to
and
make sure are
wonder,
available to
or
my
they do think
associates.
about what they don't want
So
to happen. They
additionally,
wonder why it shows up over
I
and
have to
over and
also
over
ensure
again.
that all reports, documents,
The law
that
of
they're all
attraction is
uploaded and available
obedience.
within the
Law of
appropriate
attraction will
timelines
give
so
you
the
what you want
associates have
every
them
single
so that they
time.
can complete their
If you think
projects.
about things that you
I
don't
also have to
want,
make
you're
sure that
calling
I'm
that
available
into
for
being.
any
It
ad hoc meetings
manifests
that
the
come
things
up,
that
as
you're
well
thinking.
as making sure that I
And the
attend
law of
any
attraction
regularly
is
scheduled,
always working.
meetings that I have.
If your
or
thoughts are
conference
flowing, the law
calls,
of attraction is
and
working. You don't
I
press
find,
pause, you don't press
or
stop,
I have
it's
found in the
forever
past
flowing.
that
Anytime
sometimes
you
I
have
get
a
so
thought,
wrapped up in
creation
different
is
projects that I'm
happening.
doing that
If you're creating
I
how
look at the clock
bad
and think, okay,
something
I got 5
is,
minutes, I
it
can
will
finish
be
doing this,
that bad.
and then I
When
need
we
to
are
jump on
negative
that
and
call.
angry, we
And then I'll
attract
look up the
negative and
clock,
angry
it seems like just a second
situations.
later and it's 15 minutes
So if we
gone
look
by and I'm already
carefully
10
at the
minutes late
power
for
of
my
our
meeting.
minds, it's
So
all
those are
around
the
us.
types
The law
of
of
things that
attraction is
really add
everywhere.
stress to my
You
day.
draw everything to you.
With
What
my
you
work
think
life.
about is what happens.
So my home
It's
life
not
also
wishful
comes into
thinking
play
or
and adds,
imaginary craziness.
more levels of stress to
deeper basic
my daily
understandings.
life.
The mind is shaping
I have
the
children
very
that are still
thing that
home.
is being perceived.
I have
Now,
to make sure that they're
we
bathed,
probably
fed,
don't all
dressed,
understand
make sure that
electricity,
they're ready for the
but
bus
we
and
know
for
it's
daycare.
there
I have
and
to
we
get
enjoy the
the
benefits
one
of
to
it. It's the
daycare
same
every
thing with
day,
the secret.
make sure I'm
People
back on
become
time for
frightened
any
of
meetings
negative
that I have
thoughts
going on.
once they understand the
Then
secret.
after school, I
But
have to
a positive
make sure that I'm
thoughts
available
eliminates
when
negative.
the one comes in
So
from
we
the
need to be
bus,
aware of
showing
our
me all
thoughts.
this
We
work
need to
that he's
choose
done
our
for the day. I
thoughts.
have to show that
We are the
interest there.
masterpiece
I
of
have
our
to
own
make sure
lives,
that
and
I
we
help
do
with
it
the
with our very
homework,
own
and
thoughts.
then I have to get
So the
dinner, I have
life
to listen to
transforming
what's
overall
transpired
giant
from their
secret.
day,
Thoughts
make
and
sure I'm
feelings
at
on
daycare in time
autopilot.
to
We
pick
need
the
to
baby
monitor our
up. I
thoughts.
have to
Where
make
the
sure
fun
that,
begins,
they eat their meals,
we
make
know
sure
it's
that they
impossible
have,
to monitor
any
60,000
medications
thoughts per
that they
day.
might need.
An easier
as
way
well
is
as
to
nightly
let our
bedtime
feelings to
rituals of
guide
getting
us.
them to bed on time.
We know
and then
our
making sure the
feelings
house is picked
let
up
us
the
know what
next
we're
day.
thinking.
It's just on and on and on.
Emotions
and
are
those
an incredible
stress
gift that
levels
we
mount
have.
during
We
the
have
day
good
as
and we
you
have bad
encounter all the
feelings.
different
And bad
items
feelings
that have to be
don't make us feel
taken
empowered.
care of and
Bad
transpire
vibes or
throughout the
bad
day.
frequencies don't make us feel empowered.
In addition, with my home life,
But on the
I'm
flip
also
side,
a
good
full-time
feelings, good
caretaker for my
emotions,
parents.
we
I'm
feel that
living
way
in
every day.
adjoining,
We celebrate good
duplex to
feelings.
them.
So
Thank goodness
what
at
we're
the current time,
attracting,
there's not a lot that has to be done, but
we need
I
to keep
am,
doing that to get the good
I
things.
have to make sure
When we
that they
see
have
that we
food
have the
that they
good
need
things,
in
we're
their
attracting
home. I
good
have to make
things.
sure
Are we
that
on
their,
track? Are we
doctor's
off
appointments
track?
are
We need to
scheduled,
watch
and
our
if they need me
desires.
to go with
The
them, I
law of
need to
attraction
make
works
sure I'm
every
there with
day.
them to
Whatever
be
we're
able to
thinking,
translate
whatever
any,
we feel today is
thing
creating
the
our
doctor may
future.
say. So there's a
So
lot
we know
of
that a simple
stress,
shifting of emotions
that
can
goes
change our
with
entire
work
day
with
and our
home
entire
for
life.
me that I have to
If you don't
balance.
change your mood, you're going to continue
For the
to
most
attract
part,
bad things.
Um,
So we need to
I
begin
think
right
the
now to feel
majority of the
healthy,
time I handle
prosperous,
stress fairly
even if
well.
we're not there. The nature of the universe
I
will
do
respond
that
to
by
our
making
mood.
sure, first of all,
Thoughts
that I
and
get
feelings are
adequate
what we
rest
attract
and
into our
adequate
universe.
exercise.
A
I have
shift
to
in
make sure
awareness
that
can
within
undo
all of
any
that
bad things that we've
bedlam
created
that
in the past.
transpires during the day,
We
I
need to
do
send
take
good
time to
thoughts into the
exercise.
universe so that we can
I
attract
have
good
to make
things.
sure that I take stretching breaks
We can
during
put on a piece of nice
the
music,
day.
think of
I've
something
got to make
beautiful,
sure that I
dwell
get
on
out
it.
and
Keep
just
that
clear my
thought in our
head.
mind.
Sometimes just
Start
walking
feeling
around the
good.
block, that
Bring
helps.
goodness into our
I
life.
can still
And
do
what a gift.
work
Once we
items while I'm
And
lofty in
that's where our
thinking.
freedom and power is.
Sometimes
What
that's what I
we
just need
are
to get
as a
away from the desk
deliberator,
and be able to do
deliberate
things like
creator
that
of our
to
life.
help release
We
some
are
of
the
that
master
stress.
of our life. Life can and
When I
should
begin to feel
and will
overloaded,
be phenomenal when we start
I will make
using
myself
the
sit
secret.
down, evaluate the situation.
So that was the
and,
first video.
Evaluate what
So
must
the
be
question
highest
is, are there
highest
scientific
priority,
claims
what
to
I
the
need to
secret?
tackle first.
Well,
if I have a variety of
from what I
items,
can see,
then
no,
I might
there
just
are no
decide, okay,
scientific
this can be
references in
tackled
this
first
video.
because I can get
The main
this
idea
done
of the
and this
video
done,
is
this
that we
done,
all
get
work
these
with
three
one
things out of
infinite
the way, and
power.
then I can
We all guide
concentrate
ourselves
on
with
this
one law,
big
the law of
item that's
attraction,
really
and the secret
what's
is the law of
overwhelming to me. And
attraction.
when I break things
The
down
key
in
point
pieces,
is that
a
the
lot
law of
times then
attraction
I
is
can
always working.
start to conquer the
If
big
our thoughts are flowing, the law of
giants as I
attraction is
break them down
working.
into
We don't
pieces.
press pause, we don't press stop,
So,
it's forever flowing.
I've also learned.
And since there are no
that,
specific examples of scientific
I can get help from
evidence, there's
coworkers
nothing
and
that I can
family.
point out
I've
regarding
learned to do a lot of
quality
delegating.
scientific claims.
That goes a
So then the
long way
second
to
video
helping
that I
stress
want to
levels.
discuss is the new era
And
of
so like I
positive
said, for the most
psychology
part,
by
I
Martin
do,
Seligman.
balance
And he
the
talks
stress
about the
fairly
11th
well.
reason to be
A few
optimistic
months ago,
and the state of
I was
psychology
faced
today.
with some serious
He starts out by
personal
asking,
issues.
what is the state of
Um,
psychology today? And his
And there were
answer is,
also some
not
major
good
changes
enough.
going on at work.
And he
with some
talks about why
layoffs and some
psychology
things that
was
I had
good,
to have
why
some,
it was not good, and how it may
major critical
become good in the
decisions
next
that I
10
had to be
years,
part of.
and how it can
At
become
that
good
time, there was
enough.
some personal things
So,
going on within
why
my
was
life that I had to
psychology
deal
good?
with.
Well, for more than 60
And it was
years,
right about
psychology
that
worked
time
within
that
the
I got
disease
the
model.
information back
10
from
years ago,
CFA
when he was
that
on an
I
airplane
had
and he
not
introduced
followed some
himself as a
criteria
psychologist,
to the
people would move away
expectations
from
that
him.
should have been
They were saying that
followed.
psychology is
Some
about finding
misunderstandings
what's
that I
wrong
had
with
on my
you,
part.
how to spot the
And I
loony
did
in
not
the
take
audience.
that very
So now
well.
when he tells
I
people what
didn't
he
handle all
does,
that stress
what he
that
does,
hit
they
me,
move toward him.
in
So what's
the
good
way
about
that
psychology today is that
I
60
would've
years
thought that I
ago,
would've handled
none
it.
of the disorders
I
were
had to
treatable.
just more or less
It was
back
entirely
off
smoke
for
and
a few
mirrors.
months
But
and
now there are
kind of dropped
14 of the
ball with
disorders that are
school.
treatable, and 2 of them are
I
actually
kinda let
curable.
everything just
The
sit
other
there
thing that
while I was
happened is that with the
regrouping.
science that developed, the
I
science of
think
mental
that was
illness,
my
we
way
found
of
out that we could
handling
make
all that extra
we
stress.
could take
I
fuzzy
had to
concepts,
prioritize
concepts like
my
depression and
family and my
alcoholism,
work.
and measure them.
And at
That we
that
could
time,
create
I
a
had to just let
classification of the
school
mental
go
illness,
for a
that
few
we could
months.
understand the casualty of the mental illness.
Since things have
We could look
started
across
settling
time
down,
at the
I've
same
been able to
people,
regroup, I've been
people,
able to
example, who
reprioritize,
were genetically vulnerable to
and now I
schizophrenia,
am
and
at a
ask
point
what the
that I can't
contribution
accept
of
on that
mothering, of
responsibility
genetics,
again.
and we could
I'm
isolate
able to rekindle that
different
desire to
variables by
complete
doing
my
experiments
AA
on mental
degree, and
illness.
finally get on back on
Best
track
of all,
with
that we were able in the last 50 years
So I
to
guess,
invent drug
long
treatments and
story short,
psychological treatments. We were able
I
to
have
test
always
them
been a
in
very
random
hardy
assignment
individual.
with
I
placebo and
have
controlled
an appropriate
designs and
amount
throw
of
out the things that didn't
self-efficacy.
work
I am
and
able
keep the
to
things
adapt
that
to most
actually did.
situations.
The conclusion is
I am
that
usually
psychology
able
and
to ensure that
psychiatry
I
over
can
the last
conquer
60
any
years can
problem,
actually claim
adapt into the
that they have
situation.
made miserable people less miserable.
I've also found that remaining
and that in
optimistic
itself is
can help
terrific.
me,
But what was
stay
not
and
good
fight
were the
when situations get
consequences
rough.
of
I
3
think,
things.
like
The
I
first
said a
was
few months
moral,
ago,
that psychologists and
the
psychiatrists
fight
became
or
victimologists,
flight, scenario came into
pathologizers,
play, and
that in the
I
view of
took
human
flight
nature
route
was that
as
if you
far
were
as
in
school and
trouble,
dropped
bricks
that for a
would
few
fall on
months.
you. And we
But now
forgot that
I've
people
chosen
made
to
choices and
take the
decisions.
ball
We
back
forgot
up and start
responsibility.
fighting.
That was the
No
first
more
cause.
fleeing for me, no
The
more
second
flight.
cause is that we forgot about people. We forgot about
Basically,
improving normal
I've
lives. We
learned to
forgot about a
adapt
mission
the
to make
4 A's.
relatively untroubled people happier and
Avoid,
more fulfilled and more
adopt,
productive.
Avoid, alter,
No
adapt,
one works
and
on
accept.
that. So the third problem
Um,
about the disease model is in
trying
our rush
to
to do something about
avoid
people in
unnecessary
trouble,
stress.
in our rush to do something about
Altering,
repairing
I've been able
damage,
to do that
it
by
didn't occur
altering
to us to
certain
develop
situations
interventions
that
to make
cause
people
stress.
happier with
And then
positive
in some
interventions.
instances, I've
So
had
that
to
wasn't
adapt to
good.
situations
And
that's
that's what
causing
led
the
people
stress.
like
And then finally,
the
I'm learning to accept things that I
the
can't
person
change
talking on the
and to
video, and
just,
Nancy Edkoff
find
and
a way
Dan
to make
Gilbert
it
and
work.
Mike Sissis
So with that final thought, I'm going to wrap
to
up
work
this
on something that
addendum.
they call
And
positive
thank you for taking the
psychology.
time to listen, and,
Positive psychology has 3
I
aims.
appreciate your time. Thank
That
you.
we should be just as concerned with weakness, concerned with building strength as repairing damage, and that we should be interested in the best things in life. That we should be just as concerned with making the lives of normal people fulfilling as with nurturing high talent. And the upshot of that is that the mission for psychology to have would be, in addition to curing mentally ill, in addition to making miserable people less happy, could psychology actually make people happier? So he believes that there were 3 different interventions. It's possible to have one rather than the other, 3 different happy lives. The first happy life would be the pleasant life. That would be a life in which you have as much positive emotion as you possibly can and the skills to amplify it. The second would be a life of engagement, a life in your work, your parenting, your love, your leisure, that time stops. And the third would be that of a meaningful life. The first, the pleasant life, is simple. It's having as many pleasures as you can, as much positive emotion as you can, and learning the skills for savory mindfulness and amplifying them so that they stretch out over time and space. And he also states that a pleasant life has 3 drawbacks, and it's why positive psychology is not happyology and why it doesn't end there. The first drawback is that it turns out that the pleasant life, where you experience an emotion, has about 50% heritable. And in fact, it's very modifiable. So the different tricks that he has used to increase the amount of positive in life, emotion in life, is about 15 to 20% tricks, getting more of it. Second is that positive emotion habituates rapidly. It's like French vanilla ice cream. The first taste is 100%, and by the time you're down to 6 tastes, it's gone. And it's not particularly malleable. And then he talks about the second life, and he talks about his friend Lynn having more positive emotion and was with building on pleasure. He had two of the great arenas, and by the time he was 30, he was enormously successful. The first arena was work. By the time he was 20, he was an options trader, and by the time he was 25, he was a multimillionaire and the head of an options trading company. Second in play, he was a national champion bridge player, but in the third great arena of life, in love, he was an abysmal failure. He was considered a cold fish, and people wanted nothing to do with him. So the results surprised the people who were conducting the study. What they found out that it was possible to have the pursuit of pleasure with no contribution to life satisfaction. The pursuit of meaning was the strongest. The pursuit of engagement also was very strong. But where pleasure matters is that we have both engagement and meaning. If you've got all three, you have everything, and if you don't have any of the three, you have an empty, sumless life. So we're asking now, does the very same relationship, physical, health, morbidity, how long you live, and productivity, does it all follow the same relationship? That is health a function of positive engagement and pleasure? Is productivity a function of positive emotion, engagement, and meaning? And is there a reason to think that the answer to both of these may very well be yes? So his conclusion was that the 11th reason was optimism. Is what you think with technology, entertainment, and design, well, we can actually increase the amount of human happiness on the planet. And if technology can in the next decade or two increase the pleasant life, the good life, the meaningful life, it will be good enough. If entertainment can be diverting to also increase positive emotion meaning, it will be good enough. And if design can increase positive emotion and flow of meaning, what we're all doing together will become good enough. So that was the second video. And as far as scientific claims, he references himself, Nancy Edcoff, Dan Gilbert, Mike Csikszentmihalyi, how they work together for something called positive psychology, and he lists out 3 segments that they aim for and some processes that took place. So he did have some scientific claims there. We also know that psychology and that in itself is something that is reputable, and we have a lot of data supporting that. The main idea was how to live a happy life. The key points was finding ways to increase human happiness in life. So the specific examples cited on how psychiatry's aim to improve people's lives is sound scientific information. So when we consider which video is more scientifically sound, I have to go with the second video because I don't believe there was any scientific evidence referenced to in the first video. And we know that psychology does benefit people. People are able to live happier, more productive lives as a benefit of psychological help. So then the last point that I want to talk about is the stress that I personally deal with on a daily basis. My stress is a direct result of my job. I am under a lot of pressure to deliver specific results, and I don't exercise or rest my mind often enough. So using the psychological concepts that I have learned in this project, I fully intend to change this. I am determined to get more exercise, to channel positive energy and thoughts, and to work on making circumstances in my life as positive and happy as possible. I might not have 100% agreed with the first video, but it's worth a try. And I intend to exercise that right to try that and see if I can bring more positive energy into my life and that universe around myself. Lastly, I want to thank you for listening to my video, and I wish you less stress in your life. Please take time to reduce the stress because, as we have learned, I have learned in this project, stress is a killer. Thank you.